Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for many months, the Liberal leaders that control this House have blocked, dodged, and refused to allow a vote on legislation to produce more American-made energy. Democrat leaders have been absolute in their opposition to lifting the ban on drilling offshore, and they have repeatedly and adamantly refused any action on which legislation to help lower gas prices that are hurting people at the pump. And yet today, Mr. Speaker, after these many months and years of stamping their feet and yelling no, are we now to believe that these same Liberal Democrats, standing before us today with a salesman's smile on their face, are we to believe them that they are now declaring that this is a pro-drilling bill? Mr. Speaker, the American people are not fools. They won't be taken in by this sham of a bill that will actually lock down Americans' ocean oil reserves. There are two phrases that come to mind, Mr. Speaker, about this bill. The first is grasping at straws, which is defined as trying to find reasons to be hopeful about a bad situation. The second phrase is fig leaf, which means something you use to try to hide an embarrassing fact or problem. Mr. Speaker, with this bill, Democrats are grasping at straw fig leaves. There's an election coming up, and Democrats are desperately in search of political cover for their long record of opposing drilling and producing more American-made energy. This straw fig leaf bill was written in secret. There were no public hearings on this bill. The first copy of it was made public at 9:45 p.m. last night, barely 12 hours ago, and it's 290 pages long. The Democrat-controlled Rules Committee blocked every single member of this House from being able to offer their ideas for improving this bill. No amendments were allowed to this bill. So, Mr. Speaker, Democrats are simply playing a political game. Everybody knows this bill will never pass Congress and become law, but don't take my word for it. Democrat Senator Mary Landrieu of Louisiana said this bill is, and I quote, dead on arrival in the Senate, end quote. And when you examine the details of this bill, it certainly deserves to be dead, Mr. Speaker. It permanently locks up vast amount of America's oil and gas reserve, including more than 10 billion, with a B, 10 billion barrels of oil on Alaska's remote North Slope. It leaves 88% of America's offshore energy resources locked up. It increases taxes by billions of dollars, taxes which will land squarely on the shoulders of American consumers. And it permanently bans drilling within 50 miles of American shores. Now, Mr. Speaker, why is this fact important? It's important because according to the Interior Department, of the nearly 10 billion, again, B, barrels of oil believed to be offshore in California, only 5% is beyond the 50-mile barrier. So, Mr. Speaker, what this simply means that this bill permanently bans drilling on 95% of the oil believed to be off the coast in California. As if a permanent ban on drilling in the first 50-mile offshore were not enough, drilling between 50 and 100 miles out would also be effectively banned. By refusing to allow states to share in revenue generated by offshore drilling, this bill guarantees that drilling offshore will never be permitted by the states. Under this bill, royalty revenue sharing won't be allowed. As a result, states would have no incentive to allow any drilling whatsoever. In fact, I would submit that they would have a disincentive. Why would a state allow someone to come to their backyard and pay them no share of the profits that would be made by the offshore drilling? It's the equivalent of a government opening a Starbucks or a McDonald's franchise in a garage of your family home, but paying you nothing, even to alleviate the cost of dealing with the impacts of that business. And consider this, Mr. Speaker. If this is truly a drilling bill, Why is there no outcry from the radical environmental special interests? Mr. Speaker, it's because they know that drilling will never happen under this plan. Those who are opposed to drilling can vote for this bill, secure in the knowledge that drilling will never actually happen under this sham bill. And Mr. Speaker, in my district in central Washington is the home of Grand Coulee Dam and vast amounts of hydropower. It is the home of the only nuclear plant in the Pacific Northwest. It is a home to the vast majority of the wind farms in Washington State. And it is home to the Pacific Northwest National Lab, a leader in renewable energy research. Those who call Central Washington home believe in an all-of-the-above plan that lowers energy prices. That means promoting alternative energy sources like wind and solar power, recognizing the need for more nuclear power, protecting our valuable hydropower dams, and also allowing drilling offshore in Alaska and on other federal lands. But this bill, Mr. Speaker, does not address those issues. The Democrat plan just means billions of dollars in higher taxes, more government mandates that will increase costs for everyone, and a permanent ban on most of our offshore resources. I believe, Mr. Speaker, that the American people deserve a vote on legislation that truly expands alternative energy sources and lifts the ban on offshore drilling and in Alaska. But the liberal leaders of this Congress have blocked a fair yes or no vote on this bill for months. They blocked a fair yes or no vote, Mr. Speaker, because I believe they know if it were on the floor, it would likely pass. Mr. Speaker, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Harry Reid, and Nancy Pelosi control the Democrat Party here in this Congress. They oppose drilling. They fought and blocked it for years. Every time drilling has come up, they've said no, no, no. And this bill is just more of the same, because it says no drilling in Alaska, no to truly lifting the offshore drilling ban, no to opening the oil shale in the western United States, no to hydropower as a renewable energy source, no to non-carbon emitting nuclear power, no to building more refineries here in America, and no to clean coal and coal to liquid technology. The only thing that the Democrat bill says are yes to tax increases, permanent bans on drilling, and continued high gas prices. Of serious concern are the costly new mandates included in the National Renewable Energy Standard that this bill creates. The most likely and certain result of this is to increase the power bills of almost every American family and business that it affects. That's right, Mr. Speaker. The Democrat bill isn't going to lower gas prices, but it will increase power bills. The most egregious of it all is that this new mandate is slanted and biased by saying solar and wind power are renewable under the standard, but that hydropower isn't. This discrimination against hydropower is absolutely ridiculous. Hydropower is the most abundant source of renewable energy in our country. Hydropower is renewable, clean, non-emitting, non-polluting, and a reliable energy source. And consider this. If capturing the sun shining and the wind blowing is renewable energy, then so is water running downhill, which is precisely what hydro is all about. But believe it or not, it is not renewable by definition under this bill. Mr. Speaker, when Democrats who just days ago were proudly declaring their career-long opposition to oil drilling and are suddenly preaching the merits of this self-proclaimed drilling bill, you know, it's really hard not to laugh, except for the fact that families, workers, farmers, schools, and small businesses are struggling under the high cost of gasoline, and really this Congress, Democrat Congress, is doing nothing to help. Instead of real solutions to real problems of high gas and energy prices that Americans are facing, this Democrat Congress has chosen to look after themselves in writing this bill. What do I mean by that? This bill will do nothing but give Democrats a talking point and a 30-second television commercial where they can smile and claim that they are supporting drilling for American oil.